It says I am live, so I must be live. Hello, everybody. It's Elise Tager. And let me just take a second and hop over to Facebook to make sure that that I'm doing the right thing, because, sometimes I'm not. So hold on one second, please. All right. I think I am. Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. Okay. Welcome. This is Elise Tager, and I am coming to you from StreamYard, which means that if you want to comment, or if you have a comment, it shows up on my end as Facebook user, and I don't know who I'm talking to, and that drives me nuts. So I'd like to invite you to drop a comment in the comment section and with your name, so I know who's here and I know who I'm talking to, and I can talk to you as opposed to at you. So that's my StreamYard spiel. Okay, so Facebook user, tell me who you are, because I just see Facebook user. I'd love to know who's talking to me. So just drop your name in the comment section. I'll see who you are. Okay, so let me get started. If you don't know me, I'm Elise Tager. I'm a business coach to ambitious female entrepreneurs and creator of the Level Up program, which I'll be talking about later. I'll be talking about another time. So I work with women who are primarily at roughly around the 6 figures level, and they can't get themselves to crack through that ceiling. So that period in your business tends to be one where many female entrepreneurs get stuck. So I'm here to help you get unstuck and work through that. And the topic today is perfect. It's called the higher the level, the bigger the devil. I don't know if you've heard that phrase, but I love it. Imposter Syndrome 2.0. Anybody here experienced imposter syndrome? I know I have. Hey, Paula, nice to see you. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. I know if you've dealt with imposter syndrome before, you think you've gotten it handled, right? You've dealt with this one before, it's come up for you before, and at that stage, you have been able to overcome it. You think you've got it handled. But in that this is about imposter syndrome level 2.0, if you're leveling up your business, each time you do something new or you're in uncharted territory, imposter syndrome is most likely going to show up again. So just know that it's never one and done. It's never handled, right? It comes up a lot. So if you are leveling up, if you've increased your rates or introduced a new program, brought new people onto your team, those are all signs that you're leveling up your business. And this is most likely going to send you right back into imposter syndrome because you're at a new level, right? You're doing new things, you're in uncharted territory. And if you had an ounce of doubt, this will come up as imposter syndrome. So when I start working with clients, either on one-on-one or in a program, we always start with mindset, because to me, that's the foundation of everything. One of the topics that always comes up for female entrepreneurs is, who do I think I am, right? Who do I think I am to be offering this, whatever it is? Who do I think I am to have hired this team? Who do I think I am to be, charging this kind of price? So that signifies to me that there are mindset issues that are undermining your ability to grow and to level up your business. And if you let that fear run your show, it's going to keep you from accomplishing your dreams and achieving your goals. So knowing that you are suffering from imposter syndrome, even if you're at a higher level of your business, is a good thing. You can recognize it in yourself. But you want to nip this in the bud because you don't want this running your thoughts and your business. You just want to make sure that you're not coming from a position of fear and imposter syndrome. And the truth is, the further you go in your business or your career, the more risks you're going to have to take. I see new people joined us. Hi, please drop your name in the comments so I know who's joined us, so I'm not just talking to the ozone. I hate that. So come join me. The further you go in your business, the more risks you're going to have to take, right? That's just a given. So you're going to hire more people, or you're going to increase your prices, which is most likely going to happen first, or you're going to introduce a whole new program or a whole new revenue stream. Each step that you take has more risks involved. And you are then therefore going to see imposter syndrome again. If you've experienced a feeling like being a fraud at any point in your life or career, chances are you've chalked up your accomplishments to luck, to charm, to connections, or some other external factor. So you're not we frequently don't give ourselves credit for our own accomplishments, which reinforces the fear factor. So in doing research on imposter syndrome, because I find it fascinating, and I find it fascinating because it does show up time and time again. So here I've been in business for, 20 years, and I've been a coach for 5 years. And I would think that, I've got this one under my belt, and I'm always a little surprised when it shows back up. So I continue to do reading on this. And psychologists tell us that the personality types most likely to have imposter syndrome are perfectionists or overachievers and superwomen, which to me sounds like every female entrepreneur I know, right? That's their MO. That's how they function. So let's talk about how to break through imposter syndrome. Again, even if you're at a higher level, imposter syndrome 2.0, let's talk about how to break through this. Everybody with me? Great. If you've just joined me, pop your name in the comments so I know that you're here. Hold on one second. Let me just check over in Facebook. Okay, great. All right, so let's talk about how to break through this. And these are tools that you're going to use every time this pops up. So first thing first, is to identify what's shaking your confidence, right? Is it that you've upped your prices? Is it that you've gotten someone new on your team? Is it that you feel you have a whole new level of competition you didn't know that you had before? So take a minute, take stock, and identify what is rattling your chains, what is rattling your confidence, so you can start to pinpoint what it is and you can start to address it. I'm reading notes here, Pete, because I have a tendency to run on. So if I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. Another thing, remember your real life value and all that you have achieved. If you work with me, if you're in one of my programs, or if you're a one-to-one client of mine, one of the things that I have everybody do is to start a journal. It could be a document in Google Docs or a Word document on your computer of accomplishments. And that can be anything from, I just got a new client at 10K, or I cleaned out the fridge today. Whatever's going to make you feel accomplished for the day, write it down so that you have that to look back on when you're going through down periods. So, and this, when you're suffering from a new iteration of imposter syndrome, it's a really good time to go back and take a look at that document and reinforce for yourself, I have done good work. I am good at what I do. I have provided value to other people in my life and my business. Have that as a tool available to you when you need it. And don't hesitate to put down itty-bitty things, because the itty-bitty things some days make all the difference in the world. Third idea to help you with level 2.0 of imposter syndrome: stop comparing yourself to others. This is critical. And this is a lot of what leads us to imposter syndrome. If they're doing that over there, I couldn't possibly be, as good as they are. So stop comparing yourself to anybody else. First of all, you be you, as my son says, you just be you. But secondly, people are at different stages of their business. They're at different stages of their professional development. They have different skills and capabilities than you do. The only thing that comparison with competition does for you is it tends to denigrate your self-confidence. Why would you do that? In my mind, the only reason to look at your competition is to be inspired and to get ideas for how you can be adding ideas of theirs to your own business. I do this all the time. I do this constantly. I'm always looking at other people who are in my same space to see how they're promoting their programs. How are their programs structured? What is their coaching all about? What is their positioning statement? Not to make me feel bad, but just to give me ideas for how I can improve mine, add to my programs. What are some of the things that they're doing that resonate with me that I'm not doing? So it's all about inspiration and stimulation. So I'm not comparing myself. I'm looking outside for inspiration. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? So if you're comparing yourself with other people and finding yourself falling short and therefore diving in or falling into imposter syndrome, you're doing yourself a tremendous disservice. And one of the things that I encourage people to do if they're going through a wave of this is unsubscribe from all those email newsletters that are bringing you down. Stop reading blogs that are making you feel like the comparison makes you feel horrible. Eliminate or make smaller the amount of outside influence you're getting if it's not helping you. And that's the important point. If you're not getting stimulation and inspiration, it might be providing you with a disservice that further feeds your imposter syndrome. So another thing for how to handle this is look at your own language, both internal and external. I sound like a broken record on this one, but how you talk to yourself is how you feel about yourself and the energy that you create that you're going to put out into the world, right? It is so important to talk to yourself as if you were your best friend. So this is another thing when you're going through a wave of imposter syndrome, audit yourself. How are you talking to yourself? Right? So are you telling yourself that you're an idiot because you aren't doing X, Y, Z? And look at Sandy over there who's just started a new podcast, and how come I'm not doing that? These are internal monologues that you might not even articulate, but they're going on in your head all the time. Watch that. Watch those. Watch the words that you're using to yourself. Make sure that you are shoring yourself up as opposed to beating yourself up. This can be hard to do, but I find the longer that I do this, the easier it is to catch myself being negative to myself. So again, it's such a cliche, but you got to be your own best friend because no one loves you more than you do, or no one should love you more than you do. So make sure that you're fueling yourself with positive energy so that you can combat this imposter syndrome. When I said, have you suffered from imposter syndrome? Someone said yes. Tell me, is this recently, far back? Have you had imposter syndrome 2.0? Tell me a little bit more in the comments about your experience of having imposter syndrome. Another thing, remember, in everything that you're doing in your business, there's no one right way, right? So we all have different ways of doing everything in our business. I'm sure there are multiple techniques for conducting specific surgeries, right? So even if you're a doctor, right, it's not like there's one way to do brain surgery or one way to attack a particular problem. This is so in your business. So the fact that I keep using Allie Brown as an example because she's a high-end coach, very high-end coach who charges a lot of money, and how she approaches things might be very different from how I approach things. And again, I don't look at her, I never have, as a point of comparison and finding myself lacking. It's more, how does she interpret this problem versus how do I interpret this problem? There's no right way, right? So give yourself grace for the fact that you are doing things differently, or your language is different, or your positioning statements are different. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. So there is no right way. And if you're comparing yourself to other people and you're thinking they're doing right and I'm not, this goes back to languaging again. Why, don't think that, don't compare, don't tell yourself that. That is not the point. So check that in yourself. So there's no right way. Another thing to challenge imposter syndrome. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but I want you to think about it for a minute. Take a calculated risk, right? Step out on the deep end of the diving board, right? On the high dive. Just Put your toes over the edge of the diving board and jump once and see how it feels. What would you do if you were not afraid or insecure, right? Just challenge yourself. Because if you're coming from a position of fear or imposter syndrome, who am I to do this? I'm such a fraud. They'll find out one of these days. The way to get over that is to push through it. And so challenge yourself to take one risk that you have been avoiding because you feel like a fraud, or you feel that's too big for you, or you are incapable. And so, start that podcast. Join 10 new Facebook groups and start interacting with people. Start your own Facebook group and start a community there. Do something that has, if not threatened you, challenged you in the past. And just start taking baby steps in that direction. And if you start to challenge your own imposter syndrome, you'll start to find that you're breaking through it. So it's the best advice I could give is don't sit in fear, as we all tend to do, or we all can do, is to get sucked into this pond of insecurity. Push through it so that you're feeling like you can do something, right? You can do something to challenge this. I tell you honestly, this is the best way to work through imposter syndrome because you're not a fraud, right? You've come to the business world with something to teach and you are of value. And it's all about reprogramming your own tapes so that you believe it yourself. That's what imposter syndrome is that you don't believe your own message. And so you've got to push through that. And as I say, I think the best way to push through it is by challenging yourself, by doing something that's a calculated risk. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't let imposter syndrome rob you of your own progress and ultimate success. As you've heard me say a bazillion times, I'm a big believer in baby steps. So one baby step leads to the next baby step, leads to the next baby step. And by the end of the week or the end of 2 weeks, you've got quite a lot of momentum going. So just push through it. And take into consideration that everybody starts somewhere, right? And whether you are beginning your business, most of you aren't because you wouldn't be in this group, but if you're at the beginning stages of your business, or you've just started building a team, right? Or you've just increased your prices and come out with a whole new program at a much higher level than you have before, or any of the above, this might be your first time building a team or increasing your team or having a high ticket program. Everyone starts somewhere. And the best thing to do is to push through it. So imposter syndrome in my mind it doesn't go away. Every time, if you're leveling up your business and growing as an entrepreneur, every time you level up and get outside of your comfort zone, you are probably going to encounter imposter syndrome again. Best thing to do is acknowledge it, try to identify what it is that's rattling you, deal with those issues, deal with that thing that is making you feel imperfect or incapable or like a fraud. Identify that. The more you can crystal clear identify that, the more fuel you're going to have to take steps to push through it. And then the next thing to do is to take baby steps to push through it. That's going to help you get through this imposter syndrome wave, because it's just another wave that you as an entrepreneur have to go through to get to that next level in your business. So last thought here. Everybody with me? Any comments you want to drop in so I can acknowledge or whatever? Let me know if you have comments or questions in the comments. Last thing that is always a shock to me. You are not the only one going through this. Famous actors and artists and CEOs and the most successful people are the most likely to experience imposter syndrome, unless they're completely arrogant and they don't count. But the people who are the most successful are usually the ones that are reaching the farthest and reaching the highest. And they are most likely to get hit with a new wave of imposter syndrome. And the best thing that you could do is to have skills in your, arrows in your quiver, skills in your toolbox to counter this. And I've just given you 4 or 5 to help you get over this. But the other thing you can do is to reframe imposter syndrome as a symptom of success, right? You wouldn't be experiencing this again if you weren't going through another stage of growth. So if we could reframe that so it's not a negative, but it's just, oops, here I am again. I must be in growth mode. That's a good thing, right? And then once you identified that, go back and start at the beginning. What's sparked this? Why am I feeling like this? What can I do about it? And get really down and dirty in the details. But reframe that. Consider it a symptom of success because you're growing. So that's my spiel for today. I have a couple. Any comments you guys want to make? Let me hop over to Facebook because sometimes I don't say everything on StreamYard. Okay. All right. If you have any comments, if you're watching the replay, put your comments in the comment section. I always circle back so I can see what's going on, and I will answer your questions there. So I have two things to offer you right now. One is I'm doing a webinar tomorrow on Zoom, not in the group. So the webinar tomorrow is at noon Pacific time, which is 3 Eastern, and it's called, Are You Earning What You're Worth? And I'll put the link in the field above the webinar or above the video once I file it. And the topic, I told you the topic, but the idea behind the webinar is most women don't charge enough. Hey, Sandy, good to see you again. Most women aren't charging enough for their services. And there's a whole plethora of reasons why not. And I want to dig into reasons why not and what you can do to make sure that you're dealing with that. So as again, most of the clients that I start working with, probably the first thing out of my mouth is, you're not charging enough. Elise, you're not charging enough. Taker is what my clients call me. And I want to talk to you about that. So if you haven't already done so, sign up for the webinar. This one I will have a replay on. So if you can't make it live, sign up anyway, and I'll send out a link to the replay so you can see it when you do have time. So that link will be up in the notes above the video once I file this. And then secondly, if you're in the middle of imposter syndrome, if you are having an insecure time, if you are just stuck, I'm always here. I would love to talk you through it. So if you'd like to sign up with a free call with me, free 30 minutes with me, let's see if we can't unsnarl where you are right now and work you through that. So again, that link to set up a call with me will also be in the comments above. So that's it for me today. Anybody else? Paula, thank you. Great stuff, Cindy. Paula, you say, I'm great. That's so nice to hear. I appreciate it. So unless I have any other comments, thank you so much, guys. And I will be seeing you in the Facebook group. Take care, everybody.